we go. Grateful to have Matt Wunderli with us today to share some insights on the international aspects of partnerships and his work with World Trade Center. And I know a lot of you are not in Utah, but World Trade Center, and Matt can talk more about this, but it's an organization that is national, international, and then in each state there's a localized component to it. Without further ado, Matt, we'll turn it over to you.
Sure, of course. Thank you. And nice to be here. Thanks, Taylor and Spencer. You guys, great to be back on Midday Connect. It's been a while. Met a handful of you in the breakout sessions, and we were actually already started talking about international trade options and opportunities. So thank you for the questions, and I look forward to more Q&A after this. I'll be pretty brief. I want to keep it somewhat simple. And the reason why I want to keep it somewhat simple is because international trade is actually quite complicated, and I don't like to complicate things. And so with that said, I'm actually, because I'm I'm not in San Francisco, you probably know, I'm in Utah, but I'm in a really boring office. So with really bad Wi-Fi. So I'm going to take my camera off. I'm not trying to hide from you guys, but I don't want to lose connection. So Taylor, I'm assuming you want me to share my screen, or do you have it pulled up? I can pull it up.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Thumbs up, Spencer, if you can see that. Awesome. Okay, guys, really looking forward to talking about World Trade Center a little bit. I want to just, not just only World Trade Center, but really international expansion. This is not a selfish plug-in by any stretch of the imagination, mostly because World Trade Center is a nonprofit, so I have no incentive to do that. But really want to just explore what we do and what my personal connection to international trade really is, and how to best optimize and simplify, how to put together a good strategy to expand internationally. First and foremost, World Trade Center, like I said, is a 501c6 public-private nonprofit. So we do work hand in hand with the state of Utah to help Utah businesses in particular expand internationally. On the flip side, we also help international businesses soft land in Utah. So we do a lot of foreign direct investment, soft landing, and we really have a lot of relationships all over the world. So I was telling the breakout group a second ago that we have ambassadors, consul generals, trade ministers come to our office 2 or 3 days a week sometimes, but at least once a month, because we're always looking for new opportunities to service Utah businesses, but also service international businesses looking to land here. And we're really competing indirectly with states like California, Texas, and Florida, et cetera. We want businesses to come to Utah because Utah's a really hot economy. But that's World Trade Center Utah in a nutshell. It goes a lot deeper than that. But let's talk about building your international entry strategy. I am the Senior Director of Business Development at World Trade Center Utah. I've been involved with World Trade Center Utah for the last decade as an outsider, and but recently on the inside for the last 4 months. So I'm pretty new as the director here at World Trade Center Utah, but I've understood the intricacies of doing this for the last decade or so. And really why I understand international trade really well is because I've been a founder, software founder, an AI founder. I've built a company that expanded internationally. And so I'm coming at this from both sides of the coin, having built the company and expanded in the UK, France, and Chile, and also now helping other companies do the same. So that's my background. Let's jump into the purpose. Really, the purpose here is to help decision makers understand the questions to ask and a framework to use when evaluating markets. Challenges that come with that are international markets can present an enormous growth opportunity for businesses. However, large and small companies often struggle to execute, underperform, or find the right international partner to be a resource sinkhole just because they don't have the right approach. So like I said, it can be very expensive. I've tried this before. It can be very expensive and very time consuming. So if you don't take the right approach, it can cost you a lot of money and a lot of time. Common pitfalls that I see frequently are markets, models, and execution. Markets going after the wrong country, or of course, set of countries. Models using the wrong operating model. or like I said earlier, regulatory hurdles not taken into account properly. And of course, you have execution. Like you might know where to go and what to do, but you're not making it happen. And that can be for a variety of reasons. So a practical framework to use here is really just a three-step process. Like I said, we don't want to keep it really simple. We don't want to complicate it. It's already hard enough. We want to be able to find where, how, and then of course execute. So pathfinding, launch, and land. So a three-step process, keep it simple. I'm not a master. We're not masters at World Trade Center necessarily. We know how to do these things, but we're not perfect. But a lot of this is just common sense. So this phase 1, 2, and 3 framework is a useful tool to helping businesses formulate better market entry strategies and then make more informed decisions. And that's really what it's all about, is making data-driven decisions. So let's jump into pathfinding. This is the first step, obviously, but before a country or region-specific strategy can be formulated, we first need to answer the question of where we should focus. Anecdotally, a lot of businesses make this critical decision based on convenience. They got an inbound lead from a country, or they personally traveled to a country, or maybe received advice from a trusted source like a family member or a friend. In Utah, we get a lot of people who serve a religious mission to a country, so they think that, oh, I understand the cultural nuance, so let's go to that country. I always say, well, hold on, maybe you shouldn't do that right away. Let's analyze this a little more in depth. So we prefer a data-driven approach that carefully weighs different key factors such as market potential for a product, ease of doing business, and economic stability. I think a really good example here is if your marketing department has spent a lot of money building out a tone of voice or even a look and feel for your brand, don't just jump right into an area or a region of the world that doesn't have a similar tone of voice and look and feel. There's a shoe company in Utah that I can't name, but we're working with them. I'm sure you probably know who they are. The nice slip-on shoe that has spent a lot of money on branding and marketing, but it wouldn't make sense for them to necessarily go into a particular region because that region doesn't share the same tone of voice and look and feel. So they'd have to spend a lot of money revamping a lot of that marketing material. So we're looking at this from a very strategic point of view. Let's go where there's the least path of resistance. Our pathfinding product is algorithmic, and it pulls data from reputable external sources like the World Bank, other databases like Euromonitor, Fitch Solutions, and will produce a weighted matrix ranking the world's top 30 markets according to the criteria that's most important to your company, to an individual company. Most businesses rightfully prioritize market size and demand and forecast potential related to their product, but it's unwise to overlook things like ease of doing business, or of course, other macroeconomic factors at this stage. So basically what I'm saying is start wide. Don't be afraid to start wide, and we'll narrow this over time. There's a lot of geopolitical factors that are overrated as well and understated. I think we see a lot of, or we commonly see China score very well according to the data that we analyze, but the overwhelming feedback from business leaders when this comes up is a strong sense of caution to engage with that country for a possible investment or even distribution partnership. So be aware of geopolitical problems as well. Best practices really vary between industries and company size. So we usually advise companies not to pursue more than 2 to 3 countries at a time. It's better to just focus on one, in my opinion. So the most popular countries would be that I see are Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, Netherlands, Japan, Korea, and the UAE. But naturally, we see a wide range. Phase 2, go to market. So after where, we answer the question of how. Data still plays an important role in this step, but think of it as a 2-pronged approach where, yes, we do a quantitative approach, but we also allow room in this step for more of a qualitative analysis. The question of how to enter a market varies widely between businesses and industries. So generally, companies need to consider the following questions. So let me give you a few questions here to consider. What is the nature of the market for my product in that country? Who are my competitors there? How do I compare the quality and price? Where are my competitors being sold? What operating model are they using? And of course, what are the regulations on importing or selling my product in that country? That could be special licensing, product registration, restrictions on foreign companies. And of course, I think what's really overlooked is what is my company's capacity for investment? We get a lot of early stage companies who are maybe only doing 10 grand a month or less that are already looking for international expansion, maybe because it's kind of sexy. It really is, but they're not ready for it. I would advise, let's look at your capacity for investment first and foremost. How are you doing in North America? Are you doing quite well and you're ready for that next step? Then great. Let's look at maybe identifying a few markets. And if you've done it before, think about what's worked well for you in other countries. Okay, so these questions are quite pivotal, sorry, quite pivotal to consider when formulating a go-to-market strategy. You can see how any strategy needs to be product, company, and country specific. However, I see a lot of these three models: distribution model, that's the most common, franchise or licensee model, and a direct investment model. Whichever model you like to use, businesses need to do their own due diligence to understand upfront the regulatory implications of their choice. And of course, what outside resources need to be engaged in or made use of in order to execute. So do you understand tax laws and labor laws? Do you understand, do you have relationships with law firms and accounting firms in that said country? This is why companies like us exist, but other EDOs or economic development offices also exist for this purpose. So this should be a plan, but the beginning of an operational blueprint to effectively execute your entry strategy in the selected country. This should be, this should not only be the strategy, but this should be the plan, is what I'm getting at. Okay, phase 3, let's execute that plan. It's easier said than done. Like I said, I did it before by myself, cost me a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars. I lost a lot of time, I lost a lot of money. But if you do phases 1 and 2 appropriately, and if they're well done, chances are execution will be successful. If it isn't, a brand should still be able to ascertain quite quickly exactly why the strategy is not working and where their miscalculations occurred. Every resource that can be leaned on to put an entry blueprint into action should be utilized. The resources that I'm talking about, these are quite common. These are just the ones that I like to work with and tell companies to look for. Our trade shows, trade missions, like World Trade Center Utah did 2 trade missions with the governor of Utah this year, one in London and Paris and one in Mexico City. Take advantage of these opportunities because companies go with, and if you're not in Utah, look at what your state provides. Business development trips to that market. The U.S. Commercial Service is a really good resource. Outside experts and consultants, like I said, legal help or law help in those countries. Local professional services, 3PLs, freight forwarding, government contacts, even other non-government contacts, like I said, World Trade Center type people, but also grant funding. Look at your state. If you're not in Utah, it's called a STEP grant. If you're not in Utah, go do some research on what your state provides. The SBA gives Utah an allotted amount of money each year to use for international expansion. And we're able to provide up to $15,000 per company in grant money. So I would say, look, take advantage of that because that can help offset the costs involved with a lot of these activities. If you want to go to Germany, you've identified Germany as a market to go to. You want to go to a trade show, go get a STEP grant and help pay for 75% of that cost. So in conclusion, I know I'm going kind of fast here. I want to leave some time for some Q&A. A framework is just that. It's a framework. This is just a framework. This is not a true solution to the problem, but I think it's rather a useful tool that companies can utilize to create a templated approach to building international marketing or market entry strategies. So let me get rid of that. Sorry about that. There are regulatory challenges that are often some of the trickiest and unmovable problem sets that companies face when they go global. So be aware of those. And of course, there's no magic solution to building the perfect international market entry strategy, but there are a set of steps that any business and any industry can take to mitigate that risk. Of course, and ensure that you save the time and money invested in international growth and produce the best possible return for you and your business. That I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Matt. To kick us off, and you've talked a little about this, but maybe just touch a little more on how early is too early, or what's the right time to be talking with World Trade Center?
I advise companies to really get to the million a year mark in revenue before they talk to us. That's the goalpost I like to set.
Okay.
If you're before that and too early, then you can spend too much money unnecessarily. And that can kill your business if you're too young. So I say a million or more is my rule of thumb.
Okay.
Especially if you're coming from North America or the US. There's just a lot of business here to take advantage of. So make sure that you have a scalable model completely nailed down before you look to do so in another country, because it'll just add more complexity.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Not get distracted before we've nailed our home court.
Yeah, it's a standard startup, mentality anyway, right? Nail it, then scale it.
Questions from the group? You can come off mute and just hit Matt.
I've a question.
Go for it, Randy.
In your experience, Matt, working with other countries, is there typically more regulations or less regulations? And if that's not really an answerable question, that's fine too.
Randy, if I remember correctly, you've got weaponry, correct? I think it's specific to the industry and specific to the country. You're going to have for your company in particular, you're going to see a lot of different regulation in the UK or Western Europe or countries that are more liberal towards guns and defense, unless it's a government contract, of course. But
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's one of those it depends answers. Those are awesome.
Great question, though.
Matt, I have a question. You mentioned utilizing resources, different trade show, business development trips. I'm curious, or even government contacts. I'm curious your recommendation for building relationships internationally into a place that you don't necessarily have prior contacts with.
Yeah, that's a great question, because networking is of utmost importance. In fact, I saw a good friend of mine on here, Susanna. She's from Ecuador, my favorite chocolatier. And shout out to you, Susanna. But I like to build relationships with as many people as I can. And it can be kind of challenging, because if you're not familiar with, like, say, the UK or France, you don't know where to start. Maybe that's where social media comes in, but that's also where EDOs, economic development offices, come in. I'd be happy to make introductions for you at no cost. And that's what this is for, networking. And so if you needed an introduction somewhere to, like, Provence Promotion in Southern France, happy to make that connection, So it's all about the network, and you got to continually build that relationship. I would go, are you from Utah, Heather? Okay, so if you're from Utah, I would sign up for World Trade Center Utah events and come to lunch with an ambassador who's in town in a country that you're interested in, and see when the next event is. If you're interested in Austria, the lunch was yesterday at our office, and you could have asked him questions about, whatever, so there's really interesting stuff that happens frequently. You just got to know where to find it. And I think this is a good place to start.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, of course. That was easy. Come on, guys, give me something hard. Let's go.
Matt, what are typical questions that you're getting at other events where you're presenting this information?
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a tough one. There's a lot of questions around connections and relationships, like Heather just talked about, but we get a lot of technical questions around regulation and tariffs and free trade zones, and really just the cost. If, like, with my startup with Pando Analytics, I launched in the UK. I did not know the laws around taxation at the HMRC, which is the IRS equivalent of the UK. So, and I didn't really know how to go set up an entity there as well. So I had to really dig deep into my network. Luckily, I went to graduate school there, So I had a few people to lean on. Hey, I need an attorney. Hey, I need an accountant. Hey, I need this, and that. I really didn't know the implications of cost and cultural nuance. I get a lot of questions around cultural nuance and selling. And I think another big one is technology companies, especially software. It's easy to talk about supply chain. It's easy to talk about setting up distribution partners for retail or consumer goods, but technology is different. It's a really interesting one because you have different needs as a technology or software-based business. You're looking for mostly sales or technology help or even capital investment. But I'd say those are the vast majority of questions that I get. Casey's got his hand up.
Yeah, so what do you recommend for businesses, sub-$1 million, but then there's always that pressure for any kind of IP protection, world patents have to be issued at a certain timing, same with trademarks. What about that kind of conflict where you have like, you're trying to scale here locally, but then once you go to scale globally, you're kind of behind the game?
Yeah, that's another really good one. I think we get a lot of that question too. And I got to be very transparent. I'm not a lawyer. I do not represent any legal representation, but we can provide recommendations on who to talk to. So I would first and foremost recommend you talk to an attorney about international IP and what the ramifications are with that. But if you're sub $1 million and for whatever reason you are ready for international expansion, I would go protect yourself as quickly as possible and get that taken care of if you can afford it. If not, I would continue to wait until you get above $1 million and are able to make that expense happen in-house, unless you go raise more money to make it work. But it depends on the product. I am just, this is more of a personal opinion. I'm a big stickler for let's continue to develop our product market fit in the country we're most familiar with, which is home country, domestic, and continue to grow that to a point where, yeah, okay, now we're ready financially to make that leap. We've hit a wall here domestically. We want to move into adjacent markets. Great, let's go do that. But I would always protect myself, though, Casey, if in any case.
Yeah, just to follow up a little bit on that. So, what's your thoughts on the idea of having IP and kind of holding it as like a trade secret? And you have a business plan. Your goal is to go global eventually, and you can always hold stuff as trade secret and hope that nobody else patents it during that time. I know there's some stuff like that. Have you experienced that with other companies that have had a problem going global because they didn't do their patent work right, or lost out on an opportunity because they held on to a trade secret rather than going to a patent?
That's that's great. That's a great question, and I wish I could answer it more legally. Maybe when you and I, are you in Utah too, Casey?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you and I should probably sit down in person, and I'll bring some heavier hitters in the legal space. Cool. But just at a high level, we've seen a lot of problems, in particular with China, and trade secrets being stolen or prototypes being stolen, and people putting down a down payment with a factory and losing that down payment. There's a lot of risk and uncertainty expanding in international markets, and if you're not protected, and if you don't have an understanding of how to react or act going into that country, like for example, China, you got to go in with an iron fist and a velvet glove at the same time. Like, hey, we're friends, but I've got a machete in my other hand in case you screw me over. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it works in China. That's what we've seen. You've got to be best friends, but also Machiavellian. But that's different in France. It's different in Macedonia. So you got to be thinking of every different market that you're looking at. Hope that answered you somewhat, Casey.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Now connect with me. Let's go a little deeper on that. Seems like that would be a real pain point for you. Ryan, get your hand up.
Matt.
Or you did.
Product-based companies. Can you talk about the benefits and downsides of doing distributors versus direct?
Yeah, I think that really it depends on your business, whether you want to, what you want to give up, right? What are you looking to give up, and how much control do you want to retain and maintain in that country? I've seen both models do really well. I think distribution models are most common because they're not familiar with the region, and they want the distributor to take control of that and handle that for them. I'm dealing with a a winter sports company right now that needs distributors to sell their winter gear in Europe, but they've had problems with distributors because they take too much of the pie and they're not able to scale appropriately because of that. So they're now looking to potentially open a retail shop of their own in Western Europe, or maybe 2 or 3. So I think that, again, a lot of these questions, you guys, I honestly, it's going to be a depends kind of question, every answer, but it just really comes down to what is your model. And the benefits of going distribution are you don't have to do as much. The distributor is going to take care of a lot of that for you. But if you want to retain control and more margin, then do it on your own. But it also comes with the cons, which are you need more research. It's going to take more cost to get set up in that country. Maybe set up an entity, legal costs, accounting costs, etc. So it just depends on what your appetite for risk is and what your, proclivity for, well, whatever your operational model is. Hope that answered you, Ryan. Yeah, good. Again, if you want to go deeper, guys, my email's right here. I'm happy to take any email or conversation. Eric, got your hand up. Carry on.
Yeah, thanks. And I see Taylor sort of touched on one of them in terms of are you guys open for general discussions to sort of see when it's the appropriate time to come in? But I'm going to go off of your earlier comment about that $1 million income range. When you're looking at early stage companies that aren't at that $1 million range, what other resources can they take advantage of to start thinking about? I'm typically looking at companies trying to come into country, but there's also obviously a lot of folks here may be thinking about going out of the country. You mentioned the World Bank, seeing those, and then there's always your local connections and your local proprietary databases. But are there things that you would recommend are good sources for people to consider, whether they're either coming into the country or going out, that they could look at?
Yeah, great question. And those databases that I referenced can be costly. So I don't necessarily recommend going to subscribe to Euromonitor or the World Bank or whatnot.
Yeah, I was thinking of what sort of non-proprietary sources for those small startups.
Sure, of course. And I wanted to make sure that was very clear. Don't spend your money on those databases when you're too early. They're expensive. Those licenses can get very costly. But if for early stage, a little bit smaller, that's why I referenced the grants. I think the grants are the best resource for early stage companies to really take advantage of exploration. Going back to, I think, Ryan's comment about distribution versus non-distribution. Do you want to explore what that looks like in a region? If you're in Utah, like I said, come to us and explore applying for a STEP grant. But don't just come and apply for it. It's very competitive. And like I said, you've got up to $15,000 a year per company if you qualify. And that can really offset a lot of the costs for you to explore international expansion. So I would definitely look into those resources. There are also networking leveraging you should do. Like I want to be that piece of leverage for you, Eric. So reach out to me personally anytime and say, hey, I need a connection to Bangladesh. And if I have a contact for you, I'll make an intro, right? And so these are the things that start building momentum that I've seen personally. And I really think it's helpful for smaller companies because they need the network, they need the offset costs, and they need those relationship building.
Maybe one last question if it's out there.
Oh, Taylor, I'm just seeing your question. Sorry about, I just stopped. You want me to answer those two real quick? The most underutilized funding or resources from World Trade that I think I just answered that. STEP grants are definitely most underutilized. So it's free money, guys. Go get your money. Go apply and go see if you can qualify, see if you get approved, go on a trade show, redo your website in a foreign language, whatever leads to some sort of ROI, go get that free money. It's the SBA gives every state an allotted amount of money to then be distributed to small businesses. And the state of Utah contracts World Trade Center Utah to administer those grants to small businesses in Utah. So if you're not in Utah, go research what your state does, but every state gets an allotted amount of money from the SBA. take advantage of it. That's definitely underutilized. And do I have open office hours? Text me, text me, email me, call me, whatever. I'm yours. I'm here to help small businesses. We're a nonprofit, and it's a very fulfilling job. So I'm here to help you out. I can take another question, Taylor, if we still have time.
I'm just out of curiosity. I know you mentioned someone's on from Honduras. If everyone could just throw, if you're outside the US today, if you could just throw it in the comments, I'd love to see if we've got other people coming from international, or if you are not native to United States, but you're here working now. That'd be cool to see. Chile. All right. There we go.
Stay sad. That's lie. Don't lie. You're in Lehigh now, Caesar. Come on, man.
Well, it counts. It counts.
I know you're in Lehigh now.
Very cool.
And Susana's in Ecuador. So got a lot of
Ecuador.
LATAM representing here.
Cool.
Excellent. Oh, and thank you, Alan. There's the link. Thanks for providing that. Cheers. And happy to answer any calls or emails. Guys, seriously, take advantage of the resources available to you. I'm happy to help anytime. If you raise your hand, if you need my, actually, I'll just put my email in the chat here. Reach out to me anytime. I'm all yours.
Great.
If there's any other
Thanks so much,
questions, I
Matt.
can take more if we have time, Taylor. I'm on a roll. I'm loving this. Great conversation.
Yeah, we keep
I have
it
a question. Is there a guide of sorts to, or something that you can quickly analyze different opportunities based upon, like country, and industry?
You know, that's the data-driven approach that I talked about, where we utilize those databases and the matrix and the algorithm that I discussed. We put together a fairly robust proprietary way to do that. If you don't have access to that, that is a service that World Trade Center Utah provides for a fee. If you don't have the capabilities or the means to pay for that service, you know, that's tough. You got to look at, if you can get access to free access to some limited databases like the World Bank, but I would look around and do your best to find what you can online. But there's a lot of economic development offices or EDOs that provide that. So again, that's why I wanted to talk to you today, to let you know that we're here as a resource. And if you don't have the means, again, to pay for what we provide you in terms of, you know, what you talked about, what you asked, we can do the best we can to point you in the direction that you need to go. That's a good question though, Randy. Thank you.
Okay. I think we'll call it.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Matt.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you, Spencer, Taylor, and everyone else. Thanks for the questions. You got my email. Use it. Cheers. Bye.